The Supreme Court striking a blow today to the left's open border agenda, tossing out a challenge to President Trump's census plan. The president's plan would keep illegal immigrants from being counted toward the population of a congressional district. Now, this shouldn't be controversial, but the left wants to pack seats in states with high populations of illegal immigrants, therefore giving them more votes and funding. That's it. It's purely political. Thankfully, the Supreme Court shot down this idea. With me now to discuss is a legal fellow from the Heritage Foundation, GianCarlo Canaparo. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So how does this case affect apportionment on congressional representation and federal funding?
Well, right now, the case is basically on hold. So what the court said today was that it wasn't going to entertain the challenge right now. Now, a little background, I think, is necessary. What the president did is said to the Secretary of Commerce, who runs the census, I would like to exclude illegal aliens from apportionment. So please, if feasible, send me the data from which I can parse out citizens and illegal aliens from each state's population. Now, the words if feasible were really central here because, as you may recall, earlier this year, the Supreme Court said that President Trump may not ask about citizenship on the 2020 census. So the government has had to go to other sources of data. Now, whether those sources of data exist in such a complete format that the president can put his policy into place is uncertain. And that's why the Supreme Court said, we don't know if the policy will go into effect. We don't know if it's going to harm the states who have sued. And we're not in the business of deciding hypothetical cases. So you're out for now.
And so when it comes down to it, of course, we're seeing the ACLU is saying that they are going to try again. They're going to start filing more lawsuits, especially once the Trump administration actually starts to implement and enact a plan. So what can we see on that front then moving forward?
I mean, what this boils down to is, would you let a visiting dignitary vote, run for office, donate to a political campaign? Would you let a tourist do any of the same? Would you let a Russian agent in the country do the same? No, you wouldn't. And the reason for that is what the Supreme Court said in another case on this topic called Fulton. Look, if you are going to be counted for the census, what matters is allegiance and an enduring tie to the country. Well, an illegal alien doesn't have either of those things. Their presence here is in violation of the laws, and they're temporary in the sense that they're only here until they get caught and are deported. There is no allegiance. There is no enduring tie. They can be excluded from the census.
And when we look at it, it seems like that's why Democrats have so openly wanted sanctuary policies, and they've actively encouraged illegal immigrants to cross over because it does help them with House seats, and it does help them with federal funding. For example, the administration, using California as an example, they say that California right now has estimates about 2 million illegal aliens currently here, about 6% of the population. If they were to not be counted, that would mean that California could hypothetically lose up to 2 or even 3 House seats.
Right, and that's what this boils down to. And let me correct myself earlier. I said Fulton. I think the case is Franklin. But what it boils down to is raw political power. Look, these same people who have harped on and on about Russian interference for so long, they wouldn't allow a Russian agent to vote to make a political donation to run for office. You don't let anyone who doesn't have allegiance and an enduring tie to this country to do any of those things. You don't give them political power. That's exactly what this lawsuit seeks to do. It seeks to give political power to illegal aliens and the states which house them and provide sanctuary policies that incentivize them to live in those states and give more political power to those states. That's all this is. It's a power grab.
And of course, we saw the Supreme Court, they voted down party lines, 6-3, or ideological lines, I guess I should say, 6-3. Any surprises there for you?
No, not at all. The one surprise actually comes from the dissent, and the dissent thought that this was a live case in controversy. They said that it would harm the states who sued by reducing their apportionment and reducing their funding. But it might. We don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know. The policy is not in effect. The policy, we don't know if it will go into effect, if it can go into effect. So I was surprised that the dissent was willing to jump the gun like that. But otherwise, no.
So when it comes down to it, we're also seeing now that Biden, he hopes to be inaugurated next month. Of course, that's still heavily disputed by both sides. But we're already starting to see some migrant caravans beginning to pick up traction, pick up steam in Central and South America, starting to make their way up here now to the border. What does that tell you about the perceived weaknesses in a potential Biden administration's immigration policies?
I mean, look, people follow their incentives. It's a basic rule of economics. It's a basic rule of human nature. What this means for the Trump policy at issue here is one of timing. Trump needs to get the data from the Census Department by December 31st. If it's possible, that is a tight time frame. He then has to turn over the final apportionment population figures to Congress in the second week of January. Again, a very tight time frame. If the data exists, it may not be feasible for this policy to be put into place. We'll see.
Lots of timelines on many fronts, it seems like, for the Trump administration. Seems like an exciting next few weeks here coming up. But GianCarlo, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
It is my pleasure.